Have you ever heard of the annual art game on the website Artfight? Or maybe you've even participated. Either way, today's video is all about this website, what it is, and my feelings towards it. This will be my 4th year on Artfight, and I've enjoyed every year that I've participated in it. And I think it's a really fun thing that all artists should consider doing, even if you're a beginner or you don't think that you'll participate that much. So first I'm going to talk about what it is and the technical aspect if you've never heard of it before or are still a little unfamiliar with the interface. So Artfight, like I said earlier, is an annual art game hosted on the website artfight.net. The game takes place throughout the month of July every year, so you play for 1 month. There are 2 teams competing against each other, and these teams will have some sort of theme. Last year was Team Vampires versus Team Werewolves. The year before that was Team Bloom versus Team Wither. And yeah, the teams will be 2 contrasting themes like that. The actual theme itself doesn't have any technical relation, but a lot of people like to decorate their profile based off of this theme, like using resources to make their page look cool, and I make some of those resources that you can use for free if you want to. Maybe they'll draw themed artwork of themselves and their friends and things like that. You get to choose your teams if you make an account before the game starts, but if you don't choose, you'll be randomly assigned one. You can switch teams, but honestly my advice is to just go with the one you picked throughout the event, or stick to the one you were assigned for the fun of it. Participants in this game can attack other players, which basically means you make art for them of their characters. There's a lot of flexibility with what kind of art you can make. People make digital art, animations, traditional art, crafts, and the like. My friend Crotalus made this absolutely adorable pillow for me, for example, which is definitely one of my favorite attacks that I've ever gotten. But yeah, it's welcoming to all kinds of artists. Attacking will earn you points for your team based on how much of the character was drawn. There's a whole point system that you can view on the website to see how much your attack will score. Attacks against the opposite team will score significantly more points for your team than if you attack your own teammates, which is called friendly fire if you do that. But friendly fire attacks will still earn points, they'll just earn significantly less. You can also choose to defend against attacks by drawing that person back in return. If you guys have a chain of back and forth attacks, this is called a revenge chain, which I personally really enjoy doing because I love trying to see how big we can make these chains before the month is out. It's like really fun. Some people don't like doing them, but I don't know, it's like personal preference. When the event ends, the team with the most points wins the game for that year. So next I want to talk about why I think that you should participate. A lot of people who are hesitant to join tell me that they're worried that they won't have enough time to participate or they won't get a lot of attacks in throughout the month, especially if they're like slower artists. My advice is to just make an account and sign up for a team anyways. If you make an account, join a team, and only make 1 drawing or no drawings, then who cares? There's no penalty for lack of activity. And because the game is so big when it's in season, I wouldn't want to miss out on it if you maybe could have participated. Artfight is a great opportunity to draw your friends and maybe draw content creators or artists you think have cool OCs or that you would just like to give art to, but maybe you were shy to make fan art or you didn't know whether they'd accept fan art or something like that. That's a big part of what I use Artfight for. I love to draw my favorite creators without it being like super pressuring like a one-on-one DM might be. And if you're worried that people might feel like you're begging for free art or something like that, then just put all those worries to rest, like all of them. Nobody is going to think that. There is no general expectation or obligation to draw someone back ever, and most people in Artfight generally go by that norm. When people attack each other, they do so always knowing that there's not an 100% chance that they'll get something in return, even if that person says they're trying to return all attacks, or even if they put a ton of effort into that drawing. So if you attack your friends or a big creator or even just some random artist you never knew about and you just thought had a cool character, you're not gonna look like you're begging for anything. It's typically just seen as a nice thing since most artists get overjoyed when they receive art of their OCs. Getting attacks from friends, fans, mutuals, and random people is kind of just a part of how the game goes. It's overall a great way to trade art, find new artists, possibly make new friends, and give yourself something to do over the summer. Some of my close internet friends and mutuals I met through Artfight just because we attacked each other and had a revenge chain or something. It's a nice and unintrusive way to show your respect for another person's art or designs. Okay, next let's talk terminology because that can be the hardest part about joining a new site or community. If it's not apparent already, an attack is another way of referring to a drawing submitted during the game. Defenses refer to attacks that you have received. So on your page where it shows your attacks and your defenses are the drawings you've made of other people, and your defenses are all the art submitted by other people against you. Under statistics, you'll see this thing called a battle ratio. That's basically your ratio of attacks to defenses. So 50% would mean you attack an equal amount as you get defenses, and under 50% would mean you get more defenses than you attack. and over 50% means you would attack more than the defenses you get. Some people try to make their goals out of their attack ratios. For me, it's just to get as close to 50% as I can, which I did pretty well at last year. But overall, it's not too big of a deal for the game, so don't obsess over it too heavy. Friendly fire is, again, attacks from teammates against each other. They earn less points, but they still earn some for your team. Polish is an option you can select when rating your attacks for scoring purposes to add a little score boost. When you score, there's like a whole set of options that you have to fill out, and at the end you can choose to select this checkbox that will say polish. You can do this for drawings that you worked super hard on if you feel like they deserve a little more than usual for that purpose. And now let's talk about general site etiquette, because I did that with my toy house tutorial and you guys seem to really appreciate that section, so I figured I'd include it here too. 1. Don't ruin the spirit of Artfight by cheating, fudging points, obsessing over points, and things like that. First of all, this type of stuff generally takes the fun out of Artfight. The point is to draw each other and trade and enjoy it. It really doesn't matter who wins, it's just a cosmetic thing to add to the energy and hype of the game. People don't want to revenge you as much if they see you faking point numbers or making a million extremely simple sketches or low quality art that barely resembles their OC. I saw a couple of these last year, most of which I revenged anyways, because one of my goals is to try and revenge almost everyone in order and I didn't want to skip people, but it did make me feel disheartened to see super rushed work. Another thing adjacent to this is abusing the polish button. The site asks that this option is only used sporadically for work that you put especially significant effort into. Don't just put it on everything because you want more points, it's really annoying. Also, not to mention, take a look at the point totals. Both teams last year got over 35 million total points by the end of the event. Those 40 points that you cheated to get aren't really going to help your team that much, and teams almost never win by that small of a margin. You're not winning the game for your team this way anyways, and even if you did, people would not congratulate you for that, so don't ruin the game like that. 2. Be respectful, don't beg for revenges or guilt trip people. Again, this kind of behavior really does ruin the spirit of the game. The point isn't for you to try and get as much art as you possibly can. Keep in mind that, like I said earlier, when people attack each other, they do so knowing there's never an 100% chance they'll get an attack back, and you should go by this as well. If someone doesn't attack you back, it's not necessarily because they were trying to be rude or they hated your attack or something. They may just not have found the time, or they just didn't see any of your characters that they had the inspiration to make artwork of. Maybe they just got a lot of attacks and they want to prioritize their friends and revenge chains. Maybe they don't want to spend all of their time revenging and wanted to occasionally attack people themselves. Don't hold that against anyone. Last year I revenged everyone in order except the people who attacked me in the last week or so, and that was purely because I just didn't have the time within the month to revenge those last few people. But this is more of a ballpark goal to me than something I'm going to require myself to do. I'm impressed that I managed to do that, and I'll try to do that this year, but who knows what's gonna happen. I don't want to restrict myself from revenging my friends or people who have attacked me every year for multiple years. So yeah, don't attack people expecting an 100% chance that you'll get a revenge. You'll be really disappointed if you play the game like that. 3. This of course isn't required at all, but if you want, try to make it easy for people to find and pick characters of yours, especially if you have a lot like me. Some people will make one of these intro card thingies where they'll say what kind of characters they have and what kind of characters they'll attack. This makes it super convenient for different kind of artists to see at a glance what characters you might have and what characters you can draw. So an artist who draws mostly humans will know right away that you own a human character that they can draw. Of course, even if you have only 1 or 2 types of characters, that's totally okay. But it's super helpful to have something like this. I would also recommend sorting your characters in order of which you want attacks of the most. It'll never really work out that way, so don't expect it to be like, oh, you're gonna get 20 attacks on this character, 10 attacks on this one. It's not gonna work out like that, but it's still good to kind of sort them in that order. So if you have a mascot or Sona, try to make that one the first one they see. I reorder my characters throughout the game based on who got the most and least attacks so far, so I can put one into the spotlight if I feel like it's not getting as much attention. I mean, you don't have to do that, that's kind of try hard, but do what you want. One of my goals for each year is to get at least 1 attack for all of my OCs, so that's why it kind of matters to me. 4. There is no reply feature, so pinging people in a new comment is how people generally reply to each other at the moment. I don't know if they plan on adding this or not, I'm pretty sure it's a donation goal for the future, but generally to reply to each other, people just post a new comment and add them in it. And lastly, my general advice for the game. Start Artfight prep early. Make sure you've got reference sheets for your characters and post them all to the site before the event starts. This site is historically really slow for the first few days or so because so many people are trying to log on, so you don't want to waste time doing things you could have done before the game started. Because the site is really slow in the beginning, you'll want to save a bunch of people's reference sheets before it starts, because when it does, you'll probably have difficulty getting to the pages and like getting those reference sheets while the game is in session. Don't draw anything before the event starts, that's cheating, but just make sure that you have those references so when the game starts, instead of messing with the site, you can happily draw and submit your attacks later. The site's under new management and stuff, so I don't know how slow it's going to be this year, but every year so far that I've participated in, so many people logging onto the site at once and trying to post attacks makes it slow down a lot, and it'll take either forever for a page to load or it just won't load. So yeah, it will be slow. Take breaks, schedule them if you need to. It might sound silly, but it's kind of easy to get lost in the sauce and dedicate all your time for the whole month into pumping out as much art as possible. But what's probably going to end up happening is you'll run out of steam super fast and just become a puddle for over half of the game. It's better to not push yourself and do what you can within reason while not skipping meals or staying up way too late just to draw. Mass attacks are a fun way to get a ton of points and include a lot of people, especially if there's a lot of people you want to attack. It's worth it to consider making at least one mass attack, especially if you're having trouble revenging everyone. The best way to think of ideas for this is to just go by the theme that year. Also, I'm pretty sure as long as the person you direct the mass attack at is on the opposite team, all the characters you draw will count for full point values whether they're on your team or not. So as long as one person in the mass attack is on the other team, you can still earn full points without worrying about the friendly fire cut. And yeah, that's all for this video. I really hope to see you guys participating. My username there is quiz, the same way it's spelled here. I feature all Artfight attacks during the season on the end card, and through however long it takes to feature them all, so that usually bleeds into the summer. So if you make art and it's not featured in this video or the videos before July, just expect to see it after. Thank you guys for watching, thank you for all the support lately. I cannot believe that we're coming on 10k. That's honestly one of the most important milestones to me, so I genuinely appreciate that so much. I can't say that enough. There's 500 members in my Discord server now too, which is pretty cool. I've enjoyed meeting and talking to you guys. It's been a lot of fun. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.